This week on the Fifth Trooper podcast.
Right, so they had like a little snack area there, but it was just like a granola bar and energy drinks. And you're like,
Right,
yeah,
Kit Kats.
like I'm gonna die here.
Welcome to the Fifth Trooper podcast.
Welcome back to the Fifth Trooper podcast, where we talk everything Legion. My name is Jay Shalansky, and I am joined by Nick Allen and Evan Bulris.
Hey.
Yeah, how's it going?
So today, we have a couple cool topics that we wanted to go over. It's a combination of stuff that people have asked me, online, whether it be on the boards or like on Facebook, and then also just some other things that I thought would be interesting to go over. So the first one's going to be sportsmanship. So I'm just gonna kind of jump into this, and I think some of you, for both of the topics today, I think a lot of people are gonna be like, yeah, duh. But I think we need to talk about it because not everybody is there, and so I just wanted to make it clear and then kind of talk about how we can help the community and foster and build this community through things like sportsmanship and tournament prep and all this stuff. So the first thing I want to talk about, and you guys can jump in whenever, but for those of you out there who aren't fans of baseball has this thing that it's called the unwritten rules of baseball, right? That it's not explicit in the instructions. It's not, you don't get trained up on it. Just in baseball, there's these rules of conduct while playing. A perfect example of this is if you hit a home run off a pitcher, you can celebrate a little bit. It's okay, but you don't go crazy. You run the bases. You don't go slow. You go at a good pace. You get around the bases. You can fist pump a little bit and be like, yeah. And then you get home and, everybody crowds around you after the play's been completed in the dugout or whatever. And congratulations are made. And I bring this up because if you don't do that, and if, like if you're doing like a bat flip or you're doing an excessive celebration, it's not the refs or the league that comes down on you. It's the pitcher. The next time you're up, you're going to get beamed by the ball. Like that's how baseball works. And, I'm sure a lot of people out there who are listening watch baseball and understand this, but this is more for just the conversation in general about how we need to start self-regulating if we want to make this community good and we want people to come play, and we don't want to get them turned away from players out there who may not understand some of this conduct.
Well, it's an interesting point you make that the pitcher will beam you.
Yeah.
And that it's then the responsibility of the people around this unsportsmanlike conduct that need to take action and do something if someone is acting like that.
Yeah.
That goes for the Legion community as well. If you see somebody being a jerk, you need to say something. You need to hold them accountable for the way they're acting so that they know that there are consequences to how they are acting.
That's fair. I mean, it reminds me very much of the X-Men community, where it's very self-regulating, where you don't get if someone's really not a whole lot of fun to play against, they usually get kind of weeded out. We don't beam them with anything, as far as I know. But I mean,
you don't throw one of your ships at them or your dice?
Yeah, not yet. But it's usually I don't know, they kind of get pushed out a little bit. Like, hey, you get warning. Like, no one, if you do, everyone has a bad day.
Yeah.
Right? You roll some dice and you're like, gosh, that was not what I needed. In more explicit terms, perhaps. No one really cares about that. But it's if every time you show up, people go, oh boy, this guy's here. Is who wants to play him, and everybody's nobody. That's a problem.
Some quiet shaming.
Yeah, it's not just hey, if you change your act, we'll play with you.
Yeah.
But no one wants to play with a guy who makes it miserable because it's a game at the end of the day, right?
Yeah, well, and I think it's an opportunity too, because I think this is something we lack in life in general, is just straightforwardness and honesty with people. And I think, if you're listening to this and you're one of the guys that's showing up at your store every week and you're playing and maybe everybody knows you at the store and everybody recognizes you and you're the Legion guy at your store. And if you see somebody acting a fool, politely, but pull them aside and be like, hey man, just so you know, that kind of attitude or that kind of stuff just isn't going to fly, and you're just not going to make friends. So you may want to, watch what you're doing there. And I think you can do it in a way that's tactful and direct, that doesn't hurt the person's feeling and doesn't make you the jerk on the other end, right? But it firm and in a way that's like, hey, man, let's try to be cool with everybody here, you know? And like, I get it, you're winning, but you don't have to scream at the top of your lungs if you get a good dice roll, because really, you know, and I think just we can start digging in deep on this, but like, I get celebrating if you've made like this great tactical move and you're like owning and like you like what you've put in your head and what you've done is showing up on the board and you can get excited about that. Like I get that. And as other players, even if we're losing, we're going to be excited for you and we're going to be like, yeah, man, that was a real solid move. The thing where I get a little concerned is dice rolls. So like if a dice roll goes your way, it's exhilarating, but you didn't do anything really to earn that.
You flipped your wrist a bit and it went in your way.
Yeah, and so I don't, you know, like excessive celebration on dice rolls probably not the best move.
Not cool.
So that's weird. So like in X-Wing, it's what I hate the most is when people complain about their dice when they're just crushing you. Right,
Yeah.
like they just like you're on the losing side, and you're like, all right, man, I just got to either make the best of this, or I just can't wait for this match to be over. And then they roll like a bad evade or a bad hit, and they start like freaking out. It's like, dude, you won, man. Like, or on that same thing of dice, like, or more toward anything else, like, just being cool either way. Like,
Yeah.
Dice are average, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like, you'll have your good days, you'll have your bad days. And there are times when you lose because your dice just didn't give you paint. And that's just the game. When we
Right.
play these games, we're literally like gambling, right? You're throwing
Yeah.
dice, and then if it happens or it doesn't, like, not sure there's mitigation and different things you can do, but overall, like, they're dice, man. Like, I felt like I was cursed forever. I've been on so many streams where, like, I'll roll like 5 attack dice and they're all focused and I don't have a focus and I just feel like they're staring into my soul. The X-Wing, their little eyes, you know, hear that sound of like a dark god awakening somewhere, like, and then on the Gold Squadron stream, that was me. I'm like, range 1, 5 dice. I'm like, I get to win now, and they're all blanks. I'm like, never mind, I get to lose now, right? So,
Well, yeah, and like
It's either
what
way.
like Orgamedes over at Never Tell Me the Odds, Nick, you know, he'll tell you like. He'll be like, "Hey, man, it's risk management. That's all you're doing here. Like, it's all risk, you know." And so, what we got to do is we got to really try to understand that, and understand too. You know, I think some people, and Nick, I think we've seen this, but some people, what they'll do is they talk out loud.
Oh yeah.
What like their inner monologue, and like one of the frustrating things that actually came up recently, I believe it was the guys, somebody somewhere, I forgot where it was, but you know, basically the other guy's winning by a lot, and he was saying, "Oh, I never win. Like I always lose," and yet he's making all these very strategic moves that are clearly things that you play, you're very good. There's no way you always lose. Like, this isn't a thing. And so saying that out loud, like maybe he meant it to just kind of like ease the pressure, or he's trying to be nice or kind. Dude, I'm telling you, if you are that person, if you're thinking about that and you're at the tournament, you're like, I never win, as you're wiping the floor with me. Like, that's not helping me out, man. That's just making my life more terrible.
Well, you always remember the losses or when things go poorly, and never when things go right. That's what always sits with you.
Yeah.
it's
Just
the
like you
loss
never
of-
leave a good review on Amazon, you only read bad ones.
Yeah. Right. Right. I only care if something goes bad.
Exactly.
Yes,
Exactly.
yeah.
And that's what always sticks in my head.
Right.
It's like, oh, this tournament that I played 5 months ago, everything went horribly, and every tournament since then has been fine for me.
Yeah.
But that's the one that always sticks out of my mind, and that's the one that always...
Yeah, and I know, like, I know that there's definitely sides to this conversation where when you're out there playing in tournaments and stuff, that part of it, some people believe part of it's a mind game, and that, you know, if you can upset your opponent, that puts them in a position where they're not thinking clearly. But I'm not arguing against that. What I'm saying is I think we can rise above that, and I think we can be better than that. And I think as a community, if we can let our on-table strategies speak for themselves, or even before the table, right? Like, you know, if you're going to have a large point bid so that you can get blue player, like, that's one thing. You know, building your deck of cards, your for the game, like that's another thing. And then your on table play. I don't think that we should practice trying to get into people's heads as part of our approach to a game like this, because
Your win condition.
yeah, because I think, yeah, dude, yeah, it's gonna work. Okay, like I'm not saying don't do it because it won't work. I'm saying don't do it because it's just not right.
Because at the end of the day, everyone is playing this game to have an enjoyable experience.
Right.
And it's everyone's responsibility that everyone has an enjoyable experience.
You know, this came up in another podcast I was listening to, and they're saying, you know, I mean, the game's only been out for like 6-7 months now, 8 months maybe.
Yeah.
So
roughly.
we're all still terrible at this. This game hasn't not even all the units aren't even out yet, right? We're all pretty bad. And then when people say they do all these things to get into the person's head, that's assuming you're good at the game, right? Like you're like at this master level that like poker players are at who do this professional poker stuff. And even when they're at that point, like if you're only playing this guy once, there's no way to know their tells, right?
Yeah.
If you play, I mean, you know, if Nick or I or Jay and I play a lot, eventually we'll get each other's tells. But if you go to a fresh tournament, there's no way, you know, like there's tricks I used to do in X-Wing where I'd like look, get down like a golf stance, like look for a lane I'm not going into to really see if I can like shoot the gap, right? And it's a whole big ploy for me to, yeah, it never works. So, I mean, a lot of the mental stuff, like UFC fighters do it, right? Those are people who, that's a whole different kind of thing.
Right.
But we're like pushing plastic toys around on a board, man. Like, to me, they're kind of two different fields here.
Yeah, and you know, I get it from, you know, going back to the sports analogies. Like part of it is mind games on a sports field too, and I get that, and I get that this is it can be a competitive. I'm not gonna call it a sport, but it can be a competitive operation here that we're playing. But I believe that you know, my thing is, if you want to get into their head, if you're gonna play mind games with them, play it on the battlefield. Like make them think you're going left when you're going right. Or make them think you're going small and then come in big. Like that's the type of mind games you should be playing. And because I think every person that you upset is just one more person that you could potentially be throwing off the game, which is one more person, you know, bad news spreads faster than good news. And so it's just one more person who's going to complain and be like, yeah, the game's good, but the guys that play it, or girls, the guys or girls that play it really, really suck. Like they're the worst. Like they're just jerks.
Oh yeah, I mean that's that kind of happened more or less for like I've seen so many games get that death tack where it's like the game is great, but the community is terrible.
Yeah.
And so it just totally fades into obscurity and it gets bargain bin, and then it's big in like the West Coast, but not here.
Right.
And that's real miserable. Like that's really sad.
And this game is not convenient to play like, say, an online game like League of Legends where the community is horrible, but it's so easy to play that people continue to play.
Yeah.
This one takes a lot of money, a lot of effort, and if the community has a bad reputation, people just won't play.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah, and I think, and I'm not saying this, you know, for anybody out there who's newer to the game that's listening to this. This isn't how it is at tournaments, just to make it clear. What I'm saying is I'm kind of throwing a warning, a little red flag up here that, you know, the three of us plus other people that we talk to have all played games competitively. We know what the scene looks like. We know it's the same player base for the most part. You know, we get some new guys in, but I think we have an opportunity because it is Star Wars, because it is a war game, that there's an opportunity to have newer player base come into this game. And let's not make the mistakes we made in the past. Let's learn from our history here and be nice to people and be kind to people and be gracious winners instead of, you know, taking the other route.
And like you said, is that it's not that we're seeing each of these things right now. It's that each of these things we see maybe on an individual level, and all of them together can poison a community.
Yeah.
And we should avoid all of them if possible, as much as possible.
Well, you want to be an ambassador, right? Like, you know, it's like the old Boy Scout thing was when you want a field trip, they're like, you know, be good because you represent all of us in total. And so when you go to a new store, or when I go to, like, I'll play Shade Spider Guardian games, it's like an hour and a half away, or when I play X-Wing at Millennium, or when I go to Toronto, I just went there this weekend. Like, you're an ambassador to who you represent.
Yep.
And so, like, hey, you know, like, we're the X-Wing guys out in Syracuse. And if you're a real jerk, like, you'll just ruin it. Like, who wants to come to Syracuse then? And
Right.
you wonder why you don't get tournament, you know, people showing up. So when you go somewhere, you have to be like, especially new, a best behavior. And I mean, it doesn't mean you can't like joke around and have fun,
Yeah,
but like
yeah.
it's like if you throw on like throw some bad shade, if you will, that can ruin it for your group, and people won't want to play, and then you're gonna be playing the same one guy, and then that's miserable. Like
Yeah.
more people the better for the game.
Yeah, and so I guess, part of this is I thought, we could sit here and, for those of you listening, you can message us and give us some of your unwritten rules. But I figured, why don't we take a few minutes here and just come up with some unwritten rules, maybe for our listeners and things that I think are just good practice to follow. And I'll start. The first one I really like, and it goes back to what I was saying a few minutes ago, is if in your inner monologue is saying, oh, I never win, and yet you're winning really hard right now, or like I always lose, or you're winning really hard, or I always win and now I'm losing, like any of that inner monologue that you're having where it's like you feel like you need to verbalize the fact that the opposite always happens to you when you're playing this game, just don't do it. Just leave it inside. Like inner monologues inside. That's why they're inner monologues, not outer monologues.
Who hurt you, Jay?
Right.
What happened?
Well, I just know, and it's, and this is something I've heard, and I know it's frustrating when it's happened to me, not specifically with this game, but like that is one of the most infuriating things when you're getting mopped up, right? You're clearly losing. You've made some mistakes. You've made mistakes. Your opponent clearly knows what they're doing. They're playing really well. They're on a hot streak. Their dice are on like everything's going against you, right? And then you got to hear your opponent on the opposite side going, "Oh man,
This never happens.
yeah, I never win. This is I can't believe it. I'm always losing." It's like, how? You very good at this game. That doesn't make any sense. You have a very good list. Like, and I think it just digs deeper and deeper into the soul on that one. And so it's just like don't do that if you're doing that because you think it makes me feel better or you think it makes the other opponent feel better. It doesn't. It doesn't. It makes them feel worse. What you can do is prop them up. Don't make it about you. Make it about your opponent. Prop them up when they make a good move. Be like, that was a good move. Or like if they get all blanks, like this has happened to me, roll 6 blanks on Vader, which is statistically impossible. But if you do it, just be like, oh man, that's a real terrible roll. Like just it's more like encouraging about what the play is at the moment. Stay in the moment, I guess. It probably is the best thing, and encouraging there. I don't know. What about you guys? You guys got anything?
The flip side of that one, if you're playing someone who's brand new and you absolutely crush them, offer them advice. First of all, offer it. Ask them if they would like advice. Because some people, they take a bad beat. They don't want to hear anything from you. But offer advice and then give them like, okay, if you play your units like this, or if you do this, if you move like this, if you don't move these guys out so far, if you don't split up your units, little things like that to help them improve so the next time they play, or even their next game, they do better.
Yeah.
Or question moves they make. Just like, so what I've noticed next week is like when they lost, they like, if you're talking back and forth, be like, why did you move your guy there? And they might have a really good like reason to them. They're like, hey, like I thought this would do that. And be like, okay. And then you play through it. So maybe they did have a good idea. But you can like, well, if you've done this, you do the same thing but better, right? Like encourage them. Like they're not, because man, I've taken some beats, like especially in this game, and like I was just learning with another guy, and we played, and then I didn't know how the mistakes I was making. I mean, heck, when I was rolling white dice for stormtroopers for a while because I saw him rolling white dice for.
So was he?
Yeah, I just
white defense dice.
Yeah, I'm like, wow, this is terrible. But I think going off your point, like. Offer advice, and usually they'll be pretty, like, like you said, they'll offer, be like, hey, can I give you a bit of advice here? And if they say no, like, cool, man, all right, whatever,
right,
it's cool, not a big deal. But giving them that point of view is always like, you seem like you're trying to help them win next time instead of like, how you lost, I hope I get you again, so I get another free lunch, right? Like that's
yeah, and I would say in line with that, like if you're at a tournament, if you've been playing for a while and you're feeling pretty confident, and you run up against somebody a newbie, I would say if they're forgetting stuff, like remind them about it. Like, because I mean, if you feel like you got the game in hand, or even if, you know what? No, even if you don't have the game in hand, but if they're really forgetting about stuff and it's just a new thing that they're forgetting about, like make sure you remind them of it, because I mean, I don't feel good. This is just me, and this is a sportsmanship thing that's been built into me for years and years of playing different sports and stuff. But like, if it feels like a cheated win, like that's not a win I want. Like, I want to win where I felt like my opponent was on equal or better footing than I was, and I still won, or, you know, or vice versa. They beat me fair and square because that we were equals, or they were better than me, or whatever, you know, whatever the breakout happens. But like, I would say, even if you're fighting somebody new and you're not doing well, I mean, do you really want to win on a technicality, or do you want to win because you're good?
Yeah, just leave it on the table.
Yeah.
Let the pieces speak and outplay your opponent or get outplayed.
Right.
You know, it's tough. So like again, I'll reference X-Wing, but I'll also reference this. They're pretty, to me, Legion and X-Wing are pretty similar.
They're very similar.
Yeah, just so it's easy to make correlations. But
Sure.
so when someone forgets to trigger an X-Wing, this ability didn't proc, or you could have got a reroll there. Like, I can't tell you how many games I've lost because I've reminded people, like, yeah, that's actually supposed to be a direct hit. Like,
Right.
Because when I play those games, when someone's playing their list against me, I know all your cards. And so I'm playing your list with you in my mind. Like, right. He did this because I know that's going to happen, and he can shoot at range 4 and then get this many rerolls because of this. Like, it kills me when I see, like, I'll miss stuff because I'm playing 2 lists in your heads a lot. But like, I remember I was playing one guy who was only rerolling 2 dice for Stormtroopers for a little while.
Yeah.
I'm like, why aren't you rerolling 3? He goes, what do you mean? You know, and I'm like, you got precise. He goes, oh, and then he starts just like hot, like
Right.
just killing me. I'm like, you know, like I didn't, the first couple times I didn't catch because I was so worried about what was going on mine. But like, I'm like, yeah, no, from now on, man, just roll 3, right? I guess if I had one takeaway, it's be humble. I mean, if you win the championship, if you get it, like, cool, man, do whatever you like, enjoy a little bit.
Sure.
But when you win like a game, especially feels, you know, just be cool. Like, hey, man, like, you know, I just got lucky. Like, or like these dice
Right.
just kind of worked out for me here.
Yeah.
Or like, you know, things just this just try to be like very, I don't want to say be cool, but like that's such an easy thing
You
to
said that
say.
a lot. Yeah. Be cool.
Just be cool, man. Be cool.
Evan's unwritten rules. Be cool, man.
But just like when I win an X-Wing game, like, hey, man, like, I just had some, like, just I try to keep it very like easy. I'm not one of those like get wrecked kind of guys.
Sure.
Except as my friends. But that's
Yeah.
especially new people. I'm like super laid back. But I guess that's what my biggest thing is. Just take a win and be like, you know, shake hands. I always shake hands whether I win or lose. Because it's just like, hey, man, like, it's a sportsmanship thing, right? Like, all miniature games are built on like one guy put it really good way. It's like built on 3 pillars. It's like modeling. So you like to paint models. Do you like to build them? That's cool. The rules of the game. So all the wackadoo, like, this unit represents a stormtrooper and he shoots a E11 blaster, right? And then he gets this many dice, and then sportsmanship. Yeah. And then if you take away any one of those pillars, these games are really dumb.
Right.
Like when you take away one, like, so it you need to have all 3.
Right.
Not have all 3 that you want to enjoy, but like each of these games needs those.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I would say I'm going to keep going back to sports analogies because I think it's right in the word of sportsmanship, right? So think back to Little League. If you were ever in Little League, what were the big things that you did? You wished the other team good luck before you started.
You lined up right at the end.
Yeah, I highly recommend that. Like, anybody I play, I shake their hand, I introduce myself, and I say, good luck today, man. Like, good luck in this match, you know? And I know for some of you that's going to seem counterintuitive, but it's just the right thing to do. And then during the game, back to Little League, we don't mock other players. We don't mock what they did. We don't make fun of them for maybe running to third base instead of first base because they just didn't know the rules yet, you know, or we don't mock them because they struck out. You know, there's just no mocking. Like, you can be, as a pitcher, let's say in the baseball analogy, you can be happy that you struck someone out. You gave it a little fist bump, but then you move on to the next move. Okay, that's just part of it. The celebration comes after the game is won, not during it. Like, you're going to have micro celebrations, do a little fist pump, be glad that the move you tried worked. That's great. We don't rack up the score against someone. If we're clearly winning, like in Little League, I think it's like 11 home runs. Like, if you make it to 11 runs before the team gets any, no matter what inning it is, they just close it down. They're like, all right, this is over, right? And so think of that. I'm trying to think of like what's kind of the common thing in Legion, but like if you're clearly winning and it's not going to come down to like points killed, like why are you wiping the floor with them? Like, just take your points, hold your positions, and you don't need to overkill. You need to win 100%. You don't need to overwin, I think. And then at the end of the game, you say nice game, shake their hand, maybe point out something that they did good, like in baseball, basketball, like especially college basketball, you'll see the coach walk up to a player that like had a particularly good night or had a couple really good moves. You'll see him shake his hand, give him a hug, and like talk to him in his ear about like, hey man, that dunk was really good. Like, I can't believe that crossover play that you made, or whatever the play is, and I think that goes a long way from a sportsmanship standpoint.
No, sure.
And I think, and the reason we're talking about this again is, sure, some of you out there are probably just like, yeah, man, and we haven't run into much of this at all. Most of the people we play are cool and do everything we just talked about. But it's just kind of a friendly reminder that we're trying to build. It's not just a game that we're playing here, right? We're really trying to build a community. And if it's something you love that you want to continue doing in the future as Fantasy Flight, continues to put out new stuff, we want to have people that want to play, right? Like, we want to grow the ranks so that we can have tournaments go off, that we can have all this stuff doing. And I think this would go a long way to show people that they're welcome, that, even if it's someone that's not playing, just like walking by, and they see, they don't see someone being a jerk. Everybody's being cool and kind to each other. Like, they're going to be more interested in that game, I think.
No, sure.
From an outside perspective.
Yeah. I mean, every time Nick was one of the guys I used to learn with, Nick Gardner, way back when we started Legion. And, you'd get an ATST on the field or like a Darth Vader or something. And, you'd get all sorts of people coming over asking what it was, because we were just playing in Comic Zone like every other day because we loved it, but we just wanted people to play with. So it'd be like,
right.
You'd see someone like look over and they'd make like eye contact, like a pet, and like walk over and be like, "Hey, what's going on? You want to hear about?"
It's like Star Wars. What's happening, man?
Yeah. You want to push some stormtroopers around? What do you want to do? Like, so, I get that. Like a community is tough to build.
Yeah.
It is not easy.
Yeah.
But once you get it going, it can snowball. And I mean, look at like. I was just up at the Prototype Toronto League for X-Wing, and they did their open, which is all like them run, like Fantasy Flight, or no one gave them anything, but they ended up getting like 50 people for it.
That's
and
good.
then they had 50 people. They had custom like acrylics made. They had cards. They had like all sorts of great stuff. It was all just them. No support from FFG. Tack note on that: their cards they made got stuck in customs.
Ooh.
So that really stunk. But you were supposed to like get 3 for free, and then you could pick one other. But they're just giving everybody all of them now when they come in the store. Yeah, they were like, they had acrylics. They shipped them to me, and I brought them up because it's just a bag of plastic, guys. Like this doesn't this should be a custom 2-second thing, right? So I would say I smuggled them in. So now I'm a smuggler, if you will. I'll take that. But no, that was a good time. But yeah, it was like everyone up there is super cool. It was like the good kind of community where, I mean, they even, not to get into this too much.
Yeah.
But I went up there, and they have a blind player named John Doyle, cool guy. So a blind guy is playing a game that's all about visuals, right? Laying down templates, looking for ranges, trying to dodge rocks, and he needed a hand. And the guy he originally came with wasn't free. So I volunteered. And I mean, I wanted to play. I went up there to play. I spent weeks readying lists, right, to play in this tournament. But there's something to be said to, like, to put aside what you want to do to help somebody else have fun. And that's part of the community. Yeah. Right? Like, I get to play X-Wing all the time, and I get to use my eyeballs all the time, right? Like, those are 2 things that I have, and I'll be more grateful for now. But giving this guy. He went 11, like 4-2. He came in 11th. Like like and he would just beat guys and then be like, I don't believe it. I'm like, yeah, man, I don't know. He's just telling me where to move stuff. Like I'd move his hand around, like do like circles around where obstacles were and where ships were engaged. He's like, what's this look like? And I'd be like, that looks like range 3 is the farthest next one, but like that looks like range 6 or something. You try to give him like a ballpark. But doing stuff like that, I'm not trying to like put myself on a pedestal for that or anything, but it was something that I think more people should do is just put that, like, just talking about building a community here, like, hey, I'm out of the country,
right?
And I went up and did that, like, so that's, if you get those opportunities to teach a new player, to help someone out to play, like, that's a real big win.
Yeah, and I would say just to kind of bring it to like out of the micro and more to like a macro level, one of the things too I would say is not just from yourself to your opponent during tournaments and stuff though, but I think the sportsmanship thing and kind of the idea of this can move into how we deal with the game as a whole and how we can be constructive about even the things we dislike about the game. Like, I don't want to get into specifics on exactly what it is, but like there's things about this game right now that are a little broken. And that's okay, right? Because it's a newer game. This is really, this will be Adepticon this will be the second year they've had it at Adepticon. So it's been like, a full year or so, year and a half or whatever. So there's a lot of things that Fantasy Flight, needs to look at, terrain being one of them, and some other things within the game. But how can we constructively give them feedback on this without turning it into like a mud fest? And really, like, I really think about that when you're thinking about the game, like, how can we, instead of tearing things down because we don't like them, how can we, find ways around them, and in-game find solutions to it? And if we can't, how can we let the creators know that, hey, you guys did a great game. This is an amazing game. Did this slip through the crack, or are we missing something on this one? Like, the T-47s, like, they're just not good. Like, it doesn't make any sense. And so it doesn't make any sense to the game. So it's either they slip through the cracks or there's something coming that we don't know about yet. And it's still early stages of this game. And I think if we get too crazy about where the game is now with the rule sets and everything, and we start becoming toxic about it, then that's just going to hinder the game in general. Overall, it's going to stop players from coming in. It's going to, I know we see these Fantasy Flight as like this big corporation that makes games, but they're artists, they're creators, right? And I fancy myself an artist and a creator, and I get emotional when people attack my work, and so how can we be constructive about feedback that we have about the game? Yeah, something sucks. Well, how can we figure it out in a way that makes sense?
Well, the first thing is that changes are not going to happen overnight. They're not going to happen in a month. It's going to take time because FFG, in this case, FFG, needs to collect data in order to prove this before they actually make any sort of game-changing decision.
Yeah.
And what we can do is provide examples, good constructive examples, to build that data for them to say, this is not working as intended.
Yeah. Or we all... I mean, listen, we have a podcast talking about it, so we all fancy ourselves experts on the subject, but we're not. And so why would we pretend to be? So maybe we, instead of saying this isn't working, which is great, but maybe we ask them, how is this supposed to work?
That's a good point.
Maybe we're missing it.
No, that's fair. And plus, with a lot of this, like...
Yeah, you're getting close to that, Mike.
I'm trying. Sorry, I can't... I get back for some air, and then I have to, like, come back in.
Oh, I'm going to stretch.
No. But, I lost my train of thought for that. But that's fine. I was just say, like, we don't know, like, I forget. I think it was it the guy from Never Told Me the Odds that said everything was made together?
Yeah.
Played together?
Yeah.
So, T-47s could stink now, but maybe in the next like couple expansions, there's an upgrade that makes them like HQ uplink helps.
Right.
It's still not enough, I don't think. But what's happening right now with all the 2.0 cards that are out? People think they've got it figured, right, with a certain imperial, but they don't. Like, no one does. Like, it just happens to be good. A good player can make a bad list good.
Yep.
Right? Like, even, like, it's hard to think things you understand completely what's going on. I mean, there can be general consensus, like, there's a card called Trajectory Simulator that launches a bomb 5-4 that everyone hates. They hate it in 1.0, and it's back in 2.0, and it's like 3 points, and that's nothing. It's literally free in 2.0, and it's such an NPE, a negative play experience. And they're like, why is this in the game? And you know, it was funny because when we went to a roundtable with at Nova, and they had Alex Davey, one of the lead designers, and to their credit, they only started as 3 guys. So 3 guys made all these games, and now there's 10 to the group, but they have how many miniatures games now? Rune Wars, Legion,
Right.
X-Wing, like
Armada.
Like they just miss stuff. And so one of my friends named Adam, he was like, hey, why is Tragedy Simulator still in the game? And he's like, oh, people don't like it? And he just like, zip over his head. And like, to me, that's like, how many cards are there? Like, I guess he just, he's just like, oh yeah, well, we got like the Jump Master kind of destroyed X-Wing for a while. The Dengar ship, the Punishing, was just in every list, and it won like 3 worlds in a row. And after multiple nerfs, right, it was just a busted ship. And they're like, we kind of got rushed putting that out. We didn't have we just didn't have time, and everything has to go through Disney. So Disney looks at what they did to a unit, and they have to approve it.
Yep.
So like they have to approve the fix, and so that can be like a nightmare in and of itself.
Yeah, and I would say, also, and, if you guys want to hear more about meta, I'd point you over to Notorious Scoundrels. They're doing a great job over there.
That's really good.
But I just briefly wanted to touch, like, I know, what was it, a couple months ago, before we started seeing, like, Boba and Han and the Scouts and Commandos come out, like, everyone was really down on the meta, right? Like, there's really 2 lists that were just dominating. Veers and Bikes and Wonder Twins were the 2 lists, right? And now, just with Boba, Scouts, and Han and Commandos out, the meta, there is no meta anymore. I don't think there's a list out there that's like, oh yeah, that's the list. I think everyone's list, and Invader League is showing us this now, that all the lists are rapidly changing. The winning lists are changing, and with all the other stuff that's coming out, the E-Webs and Palpatine and Chewie and all this stuff, I think by the end of the year, you're going to see a game with a lot of parity in it. That's, I think you could take any list and be successful at it, because it's more than the list. It's more than the meta. It's your tactics, your preparation, what you bring to the game. And I guess to tie that back into what we were just talking about, like, if there's things that you feel like are broken in the game, that's okay, because the game's growing. It's going to change. But in the meantime, why don't you take that as a challenge upon yourself to figure out how you're going to beat that, or how you're going to work your way around that, or use it to your advantage, right? That's what players do.
It's okay to criticize things you like.
Yeah.
Like, that's a very thing that people don't understand always. If they like it, there can be nothing wrong with it. No, it's, if I like something, I'm more apt to say, like, hey, why isn't the T-47 better?
Right.
Right? Like, you should, like I love the game and I want it to be the best it can be. So to ask questions like, why is this upgrade here? Is a binder fodder, or is there like a real reason for it?
Right. Yeah, and I think you can criticize it, but I think it needs to be constructive, and in a way where you're like, this stinks, or this sucks, or this isn't working, but then how do I answer that? Like, what are some creative ways I can come up with to kind of work my way past it or through it, so that I feel better about it?
Yeah, that's fair. I mean, the word criticism gets a bad rap, and everyone has to say, like, constructive criticism.
Yeah.
And I don't think it in of itself is bad. It's like the 5 on a rating scale, right?
No,
like when people go, oh, this game's like a 5 out of 10. That's actually fine.
Yeah.
How it's supposed to be, right? Like, that should
perfectly average.
Yeah, it should be okay.
So maybe the word we want to use is critique.
There we go. That's better.
Because I
Very
think,
fancy.
because that's, well, and it makes it different, right? Because, like, when I went to college for art, like, we would do a drawing or a sculpture or something, and everyone would sit around in a circle and basically tell you what they like and don't like about it, like, or what you could have done better. But you never took it as negative, because it was a set of your peers trying to make you better.
Mm-hmm.
And so if we think about it in this way, it's not like, you need to think of Fantasy Flight not as this, like, some like omnipotent being that's like blessing us with games. They're humans that are putting out a game that's really good that we love, but maybe it has some flaws because everything human created has flaws. So how can we respond to that and get to them the changes that we as a community believe they need to make constructively?
Yeah.
And without tearing each other down overall as a community, right? Because it's just going to make us look that much worse. So I don't know. You guys think we beat that one good enough? So
Yeah.
sportsmanship.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah.
I think we moved away from sportsmanship,
Yeah.
but yeah.
Well, I think it all.
I think it all ties
Yeah,
together.
it all ties together. Yeah. But yeah, sportsmanship across the board, and conduct. Just be cool, man. Like Evan would say, be cool.
Just be cool, dude.
All right. So the next one, this is going to be a silly topic for some people too, but we have had questions about this. So for some of you that haven't been out to tournaments, I've gotten a number of questions like, what do you guys like? What should I be? How should I prepare for this? Okay. So my first thing, and I even wrote down on my show notes, this sounds stupid, but it makes sense, is remember like when you used to prep for tests for school, your teachers would say, get a good night's sleep, eat a good breakfast so that you have energy and you're not tired. Like these are real things, guys. Like you want to go and you want to win. And yeah, you got to be good at Legion to win, and you got to know how to play, number one. But, dude, go to sleep early. Like, if you're taking this seriously and you want to really do this, like, that tournament, we went out to Buffalo, like, I didn't stay up till 2 o'clock to wake up at 6 to go out. Like, I went to bed early. Like, I ate breakfast. Evan brought me breakfast, too. So, like, I had lots of breakfast. And the other thing I would recommend, too, is I don't think a lot of people think about this, especially if you're new to these types of games. You're there for a very long time.
Yes.
Yeah, you have to expect to be there for 7 to 8 hours.
Yeah.
It's a long day, and fatigue will set in
Yeah.
if you don't prepare.
Yeah, and so with the sleep, with the breakfast, bring a bag. You're going to bring your Legion stuff anyways. You're going to have stuff with you. I recommend bringing snacks, maybe a bottle of water or a can of soda, whatever your jam is on that. Like, bring your own supplies because not all stores have adequate snacks or in locations near food. So
That's the worst.
Yeah.
It's so eating is so important. Like people who don't eat before these long tournaments, because when I went to the regionals, again, I keep referencing X-Wing. I'm sorry. It's just my most experience with what I got.
you're off the podcast.
That's it. I'm out. We went to regionals for this was at Millennium, and they didn't take a break. They did 6 games straight because they were crunched for time. And if all your games went to time, you didn't get a break.
Right.
Like you're just going and going and going, and if like people were like miserable because they didn't eat because they thought they'd get like eat, eat and have a case of water with you. Or
Yeah,
something.
and
Like,
that happens with Magic sometimes too, where like especially like the Friday night ones where you're trying to get all the rounds in, like you're just going, and it's
And
like
your games go to time,
Yeah.
and you're immediately into the next game.
yeah.
yeah. Oh man, those
And
are
I would-
miserable.
Yeah, and I'd say, for those of you who know, like there is downtime while your opponent is thinking about their activation or actually going through some of their activations. So if you have like a granola bar or something, you could totally have that in your hand and be chewing on it while you're, waiting for your opponent to get through their activation.
No, it's very like eating and drinking water and stuff. I know it sounds weird, like we're saying it, but like for real though, like I can't tell you like the first couple I went to.
Yeah.
I mean Legion games go longer too. So when did we get there for Buffalo? We were there like all day, weren't we?
Yeah, it was 9:30 to 7.
Yeah, we arrived at 9:30 and
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
then we, when we had like that kind of micro break, and then we were like, well, where's food? And we walk outside and it's just nothing.
Yeah.
Right. So they had like a little snack area there, but it was just like a granola bar and energy drinks. And you're like,
Cheez-Its.
Right.
Yeah,
Kit Kats.
like I'm going to die here. Like, this is,
Yeah, and I know, it's funny because it just sounds so silly, and it sounds like, we're talking to our kids, but like really, I mean, we've made the same mistake where it's just, you don't think about it when you're packing up. You're like, oh man, I got to get my army together. I got to get my cards. I got to make sure I have this, that I got to, but hey man, food, water, drinks, these are all necessities, especially if you want to keep your awareness, because it's already going to be dragging on. It's already going to be grueling. If you add on to that thirst and hunger, you're not going to do well, I would say leading into that too, the other thing is practice. Pick a list, stick with it. We've all made this mistake where we jump lists a couple times before a tournament trying to hone in what lists we want. I would recommend, if you're going to a tournament in like a month, I would just get a list together and I would just play it every week until that tournament and just make sure you know how it works inside and out.
Yes. What happens is it's best to have a list and prep with that because you know the ins and out of that specific list. But even if you just practice with any list, that's fine because you're getting more familiar with the rules of the game. And the more familiar with the rules of the game, the less you have to think about it, the less fatigue is going to set in.
Yeah, yeah. And, like even for like the Buffalo one, which it ended up being a little bit of a mistake for me because I didn't update my list with Boba and the snipers and stuff because I didn't want to change what I had going. Like I felt comfortable with my list. I knew what it did. And so I went to the tournament with it and it didn't do well, but at least I knew my list and I didn't feel like I made any, I made some mistakes, but they weren't from a lack of knowledge of my list mistakes, and so that would be my recommendation is get your list in lockdown, especially if a couple tournaments are coming, and don't get enticed to throw in new units. Like if you're like a week out, don't do it, man.
Unless you can prepare for them.
Yeah.
Like you could proxy something up. If you know somebody like Boba was coming, you could proxy him up months ahead of time.
Yeah.
And get familiar with him. Otherwise, don't start jumping around.
Yeah. And so I can hear you guys all out there now. I don't know a ton of people that play. Like I can't get down to the store like every night. Like how am I supposed to practice? Tabletop Simulator on Steam has a Legion download. So for anybody who doesn't know, well, let's start with the basics. Steam is a computer software that lets you download computer games. Okay, one of these games is called Tabletop Simulator, and it does exactly what the name specifies. It was built to have board games digitally on your computer so that you could play board games all the time without having a bunch of people. You could play them all online.
And it costs $20. It goes on sale for 50% off all the time.
Yeah, all the time. And so for $20, you can get yourself Legion on the computer. You can play it. There is a Discord for this, and we'll link to it on our website. And you can basically go into the Discord. They have a bunch of channels that give you an opportunity. If you don't know how to play, people will train you and teach you how to play. If you do know how to play and you're looking for a game, they got, I think it's like 10 channels for games. So you just pop in a channel and you just wait, or you message people on the board and on the Discord channel and you say, hey, looking for a game tonight at 8. The other neat thing, besides being able to practice whenever and in your underwear, basically, the other neat thing about it is everything is legal on it. So they have Chewbacca, they have the Wookiees, they have Palpatine, they have the Imperial, they have everything available on there, so you can play test as well as practice some of the new units. So if there's a tournament and Palpatine and the Royal Guard are going to be out by the time you go to that tournament, go play on TTS, practice. Get a friend. Even if it's a friend that lives across the country.
Get a friend.
Yeah, just find somebody.
Hey, if you, what next podcast? How to find friends. But if you, that's, a lot of us have friends that live all over the country now. As adults, that happens. And so, if your buddy lives on the other coast, then you can just say, hey man, get Tabletop Simulator and let's play, but there's hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of people out there right now that love this game and are playing on Tabletop Simulator and are on the Facebook groups. And that's the other thing, too. I would say learn as much as you can. Invader League is going on right now, which it's the top players all over the world are playing. I highly recommend you go up to Twitch, just search Invader League. There's a couple different channels. Endless from Yavin Base is running a channel. Dash from Never Tell Me the Odds is running a channel. The guy who's running the Invader League, LJ, he's got a channel. Like there's a bunch of Twitch channels that are streaming these live, but also keeping the recordings. So you want to learn Legion, you want to learn from the best of the best, go watch Invader League. And they talk and you'll have some of the top guys running commentary over the game going, oh, it looks like he's going to do this. Well, I would have done it this way, but this may pay off. So that's another great way to really learn. Mm-hmm. And then that kind of gets to the next thing I said, get out of your echo chamber. So we all play in these groups. We all have the same group we play with Friday nights. You know, we
Didn't know what that meant.
Right.
But I'm getting there quickly.
So we do it ourselves. But what happens is if you're playing the same people, you're getting the same tactics. You're learning from each other, which is good to a point, but then it just becomes this echo chamber where you did something once that was a really good move, and now, you know, let's say Nick learned from me or I learned from Nick a move. Well, now we see it all the time because we learned it from each other. And that's great to a certain point, but then you need to kind of move past that and either recruit new people or start reading. Lots of blogs out there, lots of Facebook groups. There's tons and tons of information. I highly recommend you get out there and start looking at it.
No, battle reps are great.
Yeah.
That's why I really enjoy traveling to play all these people, because they'll just play stuff I've never seen, do things I didn't know. Like Nova taught me a lot. Buffalo taught me a lot. Like each time I go somewhere, I just learn more about how to play.
Yeah. Yeah.
At a higher level anyway.
Yeah, and I know, you know, and a lot of you, it's not easy to travel around, and some of you may live in spots where you can't, you know, we have basically 3 cities. I wouldn't call them cities. They're minor cities that we can go play in with different groups of people, and so we're lucky in that way. But if you're not that lucky, like I said, Tabletop Simulator is a great way. Reading online, connecting with people on Facebook, these are all good ways to learn and continue growing as a player.
No, sure, yeah.
So that's those things. Like I said, I'm sure you guys, half of you probably are like, yeah, no kidding.
Yeah,
Like,
these also apply to every game,
Yeah,
not
yeah.
just Legion.
well, I think they apply to life in
Yes, I was
general
gonna say
too.
life advice as well.
But I guess I just wanted to use this as an opportunity to kind of come back and, you know, really just bring these points up, because the things we forget too, you know, and I think it's
Sure.
just good to have the conversation. And, you know, we highly encourage you, reach out to us. You know, you can message us on Facebook. We answer pretty quickly on there, or, you know, we're on all the Facebook groups, on Reddit, like whatever. Just reach out to us. We'll talk to you about it. And if you have any pointers or any thoughts on this, or, you know, if you catch us saying something wrong, let us know, and we'll talk to you about it. And that's what's going to foster these communities and broaden your horizons as a Legion player.
Oh, sure.
Yeah. All right. So really quick, we're going to move to one other thing. I'm not doing any of the fancy stuff for it, but we're going to move to We're Doing It Wrong. So this was actually brought up by a listener who I talked with. So I think I want to say it was the second or third episode. Evan, you came on, and you had just gotten back from Nova.
Mm-hmm.
And we were talking about Nova, and we were talking about some of the moves some of the big guys were making, where they would keep their
unit leader
behind, but then put the rest of their units up. So a listener pointed out that technically, instead of your unit leader behind, you could put another mini behind, because if your unit leader dies, you would just replace that mini with your unit leader.
Oh, yeah. I suppose that works.
Right.
It's like anything else, yeah.
But what that also does for you, now, if your unit leader was behind whatever that was, whatever unit that your minis were shooting at would get cover, because your unit leader counts for cover. So if he can't see them from a cover line of sight, they would get cover. So if you moved him up and kept another mini behind, they now won't get that cover, and you won't lose your whole unit. So that was just something I think
gotcha.
when we were talking about it. And this is actually something that they've kind of changed the wording on in the rules, because it's all red now. Like where this piece of, so anybody who doesn't know, if you go up to Fantasy Flight and you download the rules reference, they updated it, I think in July or August. Anything in red is stuff that they put into it recently. So they mark all their changes with red. Yeah. And one of them is that section about cover and how to determine cover. And it's line of sight from your unit leader determines that's how you determine their cover. So if you put your unit leader behind a piece of terrain and then tried to shoot at them you could still shoot at the other unit, but they would benefit from the cover because of where your unit leader is.
So let me get this straight. I have my unit leader behind a mountain,
Yes.
and the rest of my unit is out around this mountain. They have
Or
cover.
on top of it, as long as they have cohesion.
Sure. They have cover too now?
Depends on where they are, but yeah. And if your unit leaders and base count, I mean, it just becomes way more complicated than it would be if you just kept your unit leader with the rest of your unit and just put one mini behind.
Gotcha.
Huh. Okay.
See what I'm saying? Because if they come and they shoot your whole unit and your unit leader's out there, but that one mini's behind, they can't see them. They can only shoot
you
minis
can't
they can see,
die.
and your unit leader has to be the last one left. So you just replace that mini.
Okay.
Just a neat little...
Yeah, I think I get it. I feel like that's a really weird fiddly rule.
Yeah.
yeah.
I
They're
don't-
all weird fiddly rules.
Well, yeah, I mean, like for like especially fiddly with like how the leader is, because it matters a lot for some things. It doesn't matter for others. Like,
Yeah.
But no, if that's how it is, that's how it is, right? Like,
Yeah.
Yeah, well, I mean, it's kind of this. Never Tell Me the Odds did a great blog about this just recently about cohesion and cover and stuff, and really being mindful of where you're placing your minis because the minis matter.
yeah,
As far as like, for instance, with your Rebel Z6, right? So if you leave your Rebel Z6 out of cover or in sight, line of sight, they can shoot that mini. So now you can lose your Z6, where there's other ways to be smart about it, where put him behind the cover or put him, that sort of stuff. And the other thing is too, like, this is something Kyle did at Never Tell Me the Odds, is if you see cover coming up and you can't get your unit leader there, but within cohesion rules, which is one speed movement from your leader, you can put all your other minis behind that cover, your unit gets cover.
yeah. It's, it's
because
a
it's-
majority,
it-
right?
Yeah.
50%.
Yeah. So stuff like that. Never Tell Me the Odds blog. I know I pitched them a lot, and now it seems weird because they're on our network with the Notorious Scoundrels. But I'm telling you, they have some fantastic information, and this is one of those things that they covered this past week. Not only on the blog, but they talked about it on their podcast a couple days ago as well. So look into that. And the other thing to kind of go with this, and we touched on this a bit, but when you're reading the rules, and when, just for everybody out there who's kind of new to it, unit and mini are two different keywords that you really want to pay attention to.
Correct, yeah.
And so, like what we were just talking about, it seems backwards, but a lot of stuff is when you're shooting another unit, it's range from your unit leader, it's line of sight when it comes to cover, but when you're shooting, it's what your minis can see
Correct.
from
Yeah.
line of sight.
Yeah.
So each individual mini gets to whatever as would be in the real world, right? Each mini gets to see what they can see and shoot. So stuff like that. Think about that. Protecting your Z6 or your DLT-19 mini. So mini unit, two different things. So
Sure.
when you're reading the rules, just make sure you're very clear on the difference between those two things, because that's important. So that's all I got. What do you guys, anything else you guys want to mention or talk about? Or
I'm all set.
Yeah, me too. I think this was a good episode.
Yeah. And so I know everybody out there, hey, I know some of you already understood some of this, so it's just kind of repetitive conversation, but we have a lot of new people out there that are learning the game and have a lot of questions. And so I just want to make sure we covered some, basics too.
So when did the new units come out? The two guns?
The
Is it
25th?
Is it this week?
Yeah, it's this week. Hold on. I'm looking at my phone, everybody who's out there in podcast land. They come up
Just thinking maybe we could
Thursday. They come out Thursday.
Cool. Maybe we could do like a rundown of them next time.
Yeah.
Let some people, I don't think we'll have time to play them yet, but just some cool like, any viewer requests on what you want to hear.
Yeah, oh, yeah.
Is always
yes.
is always
Please.
super appreciated. But I think that'd be cool. I know I'd like to start a league in the area soon.
Yes.
Because Fantasy Fight puts out all that league stuff.
Oh,
with
yeah.
Custom missions that sound pretty interesting.
Yeah, I think we're going to go over those next week too. That was kind of my plan.
Yeah, just if that's something you guys want to hear about, like maybe we could do just short, like 15-minute battle reports.
Yep.
Any sort of ideas like that are great.
Yeah, and then just a couple other things. So we, the three of us, are going to be at PAX Unplugged at the end of November. We're going to try to get into the Legion tournament. I think they're capping it at 16 or something like that.
it's like
Nick said
10
no, but I think
Keyforge all day.
yeah, and Evan's probably going to be doing X-Wing, but I'm gonna see
still
what I
try.
can do to get into the Legion tournament. So, but we'll be there walking around. So if you see us, I was thinking about maybe trying to do like a get together with people. If you're going to PAX Unplugged, send us a message on Facebook or whatever, and we'll see if we can't get people together and just kind of meet and greet. And I think that would be fun. For anybody who is close enough and I know a couple people online have shown interest. There is a tournament November 17th at Millennium Games in Rochester, New York, that we'll be at, and then December 8th in North Syracuse at Comic Zone will be another one.
Yeah, okay.
Is it the 17th?
Yeah. It's the same weekend as Keyforge.
17th is a
November. No, I think that's Saturday. Hold on. I'm going to look at my phone again.
I could be wrong.
Oh, we'll go down together. Oh, that
17th Saturday.
Okay.
Yeah. So Saturday the 17th, November 17th in Millennium in Rochester, December 8th, Comic Zone in North Syracuse. We'll be at those. Like I said, we're going to be at PAX Unplugged, so you guys can come meet and greet. We'll set something up.
we'll
We'll
play
talk
some
to
sabacc
people.
or something.
Yeah, there you go. Han Solo here, so
I love me some sabacc.
if you're listening, go check out our YouTube channel. Evan's got he's wearing some Han Solo gear today.
The young Han Solo,
Yeah.
thank you. Corellian kid, if you will.
We're prepped for Halloween. So those are the tournaments we'll be at. The other thing is, just a reminder again, we did start our Fifth Trooper podcast network. You can listen to us on there. Notorious Scoundrels are on there. And then Nick and Evan and I actually have another podcast on there called Crunch and Chaos. And so we talk about all kinds of other games. So you can check that out at thefifthtrooper.com, thefifthtrooper.com. You can come see us on YouTube. Just reminding everybody, we got battle reports up. We got kind of videos, terrain videos, and all these podcasts are all on YouTube. And then, let us know what other kind of content you want to hear from us or see from us. We're more than willing to put up anything and just give us some feedback. That'd be helpful. And then the last thing is just in a couple weeks, we're going to have another really exciting giveaway. I'm just kind of finalizing things. And we'll be giving away some cool stuff. So look forward to that.
This one's going to be really cool.
Yeah, I'm excited about this one. So we'll next week, hopefully I'll have some more information on that. And that's it. Yeah, good. All right, everybody. Thanks for listening once again. And I just dropped my phone. That's what that noise was. But thanks for listening and tune in next week. Take
Have
it
a
easy.
good one.
Join us next week for another edition of the Fifth Trooper podcast.
This has been a Fifth Trooper production.